I'm going to make stuffed cabbage rolls. I have a head of cabbage here. I just want to core the cabbage. I have a small paring knife here, and I'm just going to cut around the core at about a 45-degree angle, pretty deep. So just like this, you just want to score it all the way through and then cut it so the core comes. Now once the core is removed, I just personally like to run my knife along the edge just so it's easier for the leaves to fall apart. So I am using this big pressure cooker to bring the water to a boil. I'm not sure how much water I have. Basically you want it to be enough so the whole cabbage will be submerged. I salted this water and just bringing it to a boil. Once the water is boiling, we're going to slowly just submerge the cabbage, core side up. Now just press it down, and you want to basically submerge it for about 10 to 15 minutes. We're going to bring it back to a boil, and then we're going to lower the heat to simmer, and then let it just simmer until the leaves start falling apart. It's already starting to fall apart now. We just want to steam it. Some small carrots, I'm just going to use a grater to grate it. So in a bowl, I'm going to put about half a cup of the shredded small carrot that we just grated. Then to that, I'm going to add half a cup of minced celery, half of a small onion minced. Now after 15 minutes, I just turned off the heat, and I'm going to set it aside until we cook the filling. See the leaves starting to fall apart, so it'll be really easy to take them apart and roll. In a large saucepan, I have about a tablespoon of oil, and I'm going to add about 3 cloves of garlic or veggies. Now to this, I'm going to add half a teaspoon of oregano or marjoram, half a teaspoon of caraway seeds. You could also use cumin, 1 tablespoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Now you just want to mix it all up until the vegetables are softened, which they pretty much look softened now. We're going to take it off the heat. I have about half a pound of ground beef, which is not enough, and I don't have any more ground beef, so I'm just going to use soy chorizo and mix it with that. Now I just squeezed it out of the casing, and now I'm just going to mix these together. This is going to be too much meat for the cabbage roll, so I'm going to split it in half and make meatballs with one, and then use the stuffing for the cabbage rolls. Now to the meat mixture, I just added 2 tablespoons of freshly chopped cilantro. Now I usually like to store leftover tomato paste in the freezer. I just put them into like an ice cube tray and then freeze it and then pop them out and store them in Ziploc bags. I find it so much easier because I don't use the whole can of tomato paste. And then whenever I need to use it, I could just plop it straight into like a stew, or I'm right now just going to microwave it for a little bit until it softens. Now just with 15 seconds, it's completely softened, and I'm going to add it to the meat mixture. Just going to add our sauteed veggies into the meat mixture. I just split half of the meat into a separate bowl. I'm going to make meatballs with this. Before we add the rice, I just took a little piece of the meat and I'm just going to fry it up to test if the seasonings are okay. Nothing's worse than once you make the stuffed cabbage rolls and then you realize, oh man, like it needs more salt or it needs more spices. So this way you can test it beforehand. To the meat mixture, I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup of uncooked white rice. Just removed the cabbage from the pot, and some of the leaves have already fallen out. We're just going to dry these with paper towel. Make the cabbage rolls. I just took out a little piece of the core from the edge, and I'm going to use 1/4 of a cup of the meat mixture and stuff it here. Now you kind of want to roll it into a log shape, and now we're just going to roll it and stuff it. And just like that, make a little roll, sort of like an egg roll. You tuck the sides in as you're rolling. I have a baking dish here. It's pretty thin but a little bit deep, and I spread about 1/4 of a cup or 1/2 a cup of marinara sauce on the bottom. And once it's spread out, we're just going to place the stuffed cabbage into the dish. Got 11 cabbage rolls to fit into my dish. The leftover cabbage I'm just gonna put in the fridge for now and then make an Ethiopian Ethiopian cabbage, carrot, potato curry that's really good, and that'll be one of my next recipes. In a bowl, I'm going to put a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce and one 10.75-ounce can of tomato soup. And then we're just going to mix all of it together and then pour this over the cabbage rolls. And you just want to pour it all over the cabbage. This is going to basically create the liquid vessel so the rice would cook inside, the rice and the meat. I have the oven preheating at 350 degrees. I'm going to place it on a baking tray and then cook it in the oven for about 2.5 hours.